I have my selection. I'm assuming you all do as well. We've got the Montgomery's cheddar here, the Tunworth, and the Colson Bassett Stilton. And when you're putting together your own cheese board, I've kind of put together my ideal one here, maybe a bit selfishly, but I think you'll like it as well. There are a couple things that I like to kind of keep in mind. And the first of which is this kind of mix of styles, right? So we've got a hard cheese, a soft cheese, and a blue cheese. It is all cow's milk, but it's three very different styles that kind of is exciting for the taste buds. It's kind of fun to talk about and kind of taste through. It's a good thing to kind of have a good bit of variety on the cheese board. And so what we'll do is we will kind of go from generally mild to strong on the board. So if you had something like a fresh goat's cheese at some point, I would say start with those instead, because you kind of want to just build the flavor as you're going through the board instead of kind of starting with the blue cheese and then knocking your taste buds out when you kind of go in and try a fresh cheese. And if you haven't kind of brought your cheese to room temperature yet, that's fine, don't worry, it'll still be delicious. But I really encourage you to also go back at the end of this chat and just taste the cheeses again, because it really makes such a difference when you are tasting cheese to kind of have it be at room temperature. It kind of opens up all the flavors as the cold can kind of numb the cheese slightly. But again, they're all very full flavored cheese. You'll still taste everything, but it's good to kind of compare and contrast in about an hour or so. So what I'll do is I'll start with the three cheeses we have here. The reason I've chosen these is they really are some of our top sellers, and for good reason. They each kind of represent the height of this style of cheese in Britain. Cheddar, a soft cheese, which isn't traditionally British, but a soft cheese, and Stilton. The Montgomery's cheddar is really like the benchmark for traditional Somerset cheddar. Tunworth, which is a camembert style cheese, so it's not British, but it's a really good example of kind of modern British cheesemaking, with a lot of cheesemakers kind of bringing in European styles and making them here with British ingredients, and it being wonderful. And then Stilton, of course, which is one of the most well-known British cheeses, the king of cheese in a lot of ways. Great, so I will start with Montgomery's cheddar, which is this lovely little chap right here. And it's made by Jamie Montgomery, as you might imagine, Montgomery's cheddar. If you're cutting it, right, if you get a wedge of cheese like that for hard cheese, the idea with most cheese and hard cheese, soft cheese, is to kind of keep a pretty good ratio of cheese from the rind to the center of the cheese, right? And so ideally, I mean, if you're on your own, do what you want. But when you're sharing a cheese board in the future, ideally you wouldn't just like chop, let's see this here, you wouldn't just like chop the nose off and like keep that bit for yourself. It is a delicious part of the cheese, but the idea is that generally you would slightly share it out. And it'll also taste different depending on where you taste the cheese. And cut off like a pretty big piece, right? I know it looks big, but trust me. And then again, because no one's watching you, no one has the video on, I can't see you, just take it and like squish it into your fingers. I'm just dropping cheese everywhere now. Squish it in your fingers to make a ball like that, kind of, right? You're gonna get your hands a bit greasy, that's fine. And the reason we're doing this, it's a bit of a technical thing, but remember how I said that cheese is a bit better when you bring it to room temperature? So by squeezing it between your fingers like this, you're kind of warming up the surface of the cheese. And so that surface area is going to be at a warmer temperature and the flavors are going to kind of come out a bit more than if you tasted it just cold.